Advanced Communicator Gold, Competent Leader, 10 Chedester.
So what do you want to do with your life? I don't know. I've never been asked that before. I'm 8 years old. I don't know what I want to do. My friend Debbie asked me that question. It's July. It's summer. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. The sun is starting to set in the west. And we're playing baseball. And the only thing I know in that moment is that I'm next up. I'm not thinking about what I want to do when I grow up. I'm too young to think about that. I didn't really have that background. I didn't really know anything about that. It almost seemed like I was too young to dream. It seems interesting as I got a little bit older when I look back on that, because it's something that I really have learned to understand that was a very important time for me, and I didn't really understand or even comprehend the importance of that question at such a young age. As I went to high school, I still really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was just kind of cruising through life, had a couple of jobs, played basketball, did this, did that, but I still really didn't have an idea. I thought I wanted to be a draftsman. I took drafting 4 years in high school and architecture. However, what I realized is that when I had to have math in order to take on that job or that career, I was not able to do that because I was not very good at math, and so I stopped myself. That dream ended. I went into the Navy. I got a medical discharge within 6 months. And still, at the age of almost 19, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't think much about it because, like I said, growing up, I really didn't have an idea. My parents, my role models, didn't really know what they wanted to do. My dad, he went to school to become a teacher, but his dream died when my parents got divorced. My role models were not something that probably was very positive for me. As I was growing up during that time, I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. 22 rolls around, I get married. And a year later, I have a baby. Well, actually, my wife had a baby. Now, necessity kicks in. I've got to get a job to provide for my family because that's what my dad did. And here I am providing for my family, having a job out of necessity. Now, some of you probably are familiar with that through your lifetime, through your journey in life, out of necessity. Now, by this point, some of us know what we want to do and some of us do not. But we keep moving. Next thing you know, a few years later, I'm divorced and I'm stuck. And my daughter's with me and I don't know what I want to do because I've had some jobs and I get into sheet metal and air conditioning. And I thought, wow, what a great job. I thought this might be it. This might be something that I could really do and really take it somewhere. But I still didn't really see it as a career. I just thought it was something that I could do and I could provide for my daughter and myself. And I just kept going. But my thought process did not really see it as a career. Eventually, I got out of it because it just wasn't for me. What happened after that was probably pretty amazing. I had been out of work. I tore my knee up. I'd sued workman's comp. I could no longer be in sheet metal air conditioning because they blackballed me because I sued workman's comp. I'm stuck. Before that, I had had some drug issues, which probably contributed to me leaving the sheet metal business. And now I'm out of work. My daughter's living with her mom, and I still can't figure it out. I'm in my 30s now, my mid-30s. And although I left a bad situation, I find myself in another situation where now I'm drinking heavily. I get a DUI. I'm out of work. And something really interesting happens. Somebody moves in next door, a gentleman by the name of Dave Barnes, that some of you can probably appreciate. You know how sometimes somebody comes into your life, it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime? That's what Dave was, and it wasn't an accident. He had gone through the same thing that I was going through, suing workman's comp. He'd already finished it. He had rehabbed, and now he was in construction inspection and material testing. He knew I was laboring. I was having a tough time. I was really struggling. And he was getting ready to move on to another business company. I mean, and he asked me if he thought it was something I might want to do. And so I took it on. And a year and a half later, I moved to Las Vegas, and then everything changed. I got involved in personal growth work. I took on my job with great fervor and vigor, but yet I still didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. And then in 2005, I'd already been a Toastmaster for a little while, and I had the club coach trainings that I had done. And now I thought I might want to be a coach or a speaker, but I wasn't really sure. I took on coaching. I decided to become a life coach. And I thought, well, maybe this is it. This might be it. In 2008, I'm working in a sheet metal union here in Las Vegas, making $4,400 a month, take home, making $90,000 a year. It's 2008. The stock market is crashing. I have a house, $1,600 payment. And you know what? I'm empty. I'm making all that money. I'm not happy. April, I take on a coach of my own because I need to get some clarity about what I want to do, because now I'm pushing 40. It becomes apparent to me that something needs to be done. One day, on a Thursday, after work, I heard a voice, the loudest voice I'd ever heard in my life. And that's when the second most important day of my life happened. You've heard it said, there are two important days in your life. The first one is the day you're born, and the second one is the day that you realize why. That day, in that moment, I heard the loudest voice I'd ever heard in my life. It said, you need to quit. And it scared the hell out of me. But I knew in my heart, because I stopped and I cried and I trembled, because I knew that this was it after all this time in my life. I want to back up for just a second and ask you to think about those times in your life where you worked, maybe out of necessity. When you were young, you probably thought maybe you knew what you were going to do, or maybe you didn't. But out of necessity, you worked, and you worked, but you didn't know if this was going to be what you wanted to do. And you toiled, and you were challenged, and you did this and you did that, but you weren't sure. And then that person comes into your life. What do? You just kind of know there's something going on. And then your life starts to change, and then your momentum picks up. Here's what I want to ask you. What would your life look like 3 years from now if you knew that you could have anything you wanted and your life could look any way you wanted it to look? What would it look like to make you happy? Think about it for a second. Now here's my last question. What are you waiting for? What are you going to do about it? Now I'm Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tim, for that inspiring speech, making us all think about what our purpose is in life, and are we doing what we are here for. So thank you, Tim, for that message.